We've all been there, standing in the wreckage of trust, replaying the moment we realized that someone we cared about, someone we let in, hurt us, and not by accident, not in a moment of weakness. No, they knew what they were doing. They calculated, they chose, and they did it anyway. And now, here they are, asking for a second chance. Let me tell you something, second chances are not a birthright. They are not a vending machine where someone inserts an apology and automatically gets access to you again. No. Second chances are for mistakes, not for intentional harm. It's easy to romanticize redemption, to believe that if we just give someone one more opportunity, they'll prove they've changed. But the truth is, some people don't change. Some people don't even regret what they did. They regret losing their place in your life. I know what you might be thinking, but what about forgiveness? What about grace? Yes, forgiveness is powerful. It's healing, but listen carefully. Forgiveness and a second chance are not the same thing. You can forgive someone without giving them a front row seat in your life. You can wish them well from a distance without inviting them back into the space they once shattered. Because here's what we forget in our rush to be kind. Your peace is just as important as their regret. People will show you who they are. Not once, not twice, but consistently. And when someone has demonstrated loudly, clearly, and with intent that they are capable of harming you, believe them. Don't excuse it. Don't rewrite the story in your mind. Don't let nostalgia or loneliness talk you into opening the door to a fire that already burned you once. This is not about bitterness. It's about boundaries. This is about respecting yourself enough to say, I deserve better. So when the apology comes, when the excuses start flowing, when they tell you they've changed, pause, look at the history, not just the words, and ask yourself, is this a person who truly values me, or is this a person who only values what they can get from me? Trust is one of the most fragile yet powerful things we can give to another person. It is the foundation of every meaningful relationship, whether it's with family, friends, partners, or colleagues. But trust is not something that should ever be handed out freely, nor is it something that someone is automatically entitled to just because of their role in our lives. There is a common misconception that trust should be granted simply because of shared history or connection. That just because someone is a family member, a longtime friend, or a significant other, they deserve your trust without question. But trust does not work that way. Trust is not a gift. It is a responsibility. And when someone intentionally breaks that trust, they do not get to demand it back just because they feel sorry or uncomfortable with the consequences of their actions. The truth is, trust is earned through consistency, honesty, and integrity. It is built over time, not restored overnight with a well-worded apology. Words are easy. Promises can be made in the heat of guilt. But trust requires proof. It requires action. It requires the person who broke it to do the difficult work of repairing what they damaged. And even then, it is entirely up to you whether you want to extend it again. Think about it this way. Imagine you lend someone a fragile, priceless object, something deeply important to you. They take it and instead of handling it with care, they deliberately throw it on the ground and shatter it into pieces. Then when they see your heartbreak, they pick up a few of the broken shards, hold them out to you and say, I'm sorry, trust me again. Would you hand them another precious object just because they said they were sorry? Or would you pause and ask yourself, what have they done to show me they will handle my trust differently this time? The reality is, people who break trust intentionally often do so because they believe they can get away with it. They count on the fact that you will feel obligated to give them another chance. They expect that you will overlook their actions because of love, loyalty, or guilt. But here's what they don't expect. You recognizing that trust is a privilege, not a right. When someone truly values you, they don't just ask for trust. They prove through their choices and behavior that they deserve it. They show up with consistency. They take accountability without making excuses. They acknowledge the pain they caused and commit to doing better, not just for you, but because they know it's the right thing to do. And even then, you still have the right to say, no, I choose to protect myself instead. Because at the end of the day, trust is not something you owe anyone. It is something they must earn every single day. And if someone has shattered it intentionally, they don't get to demand another chance. They have to live with the reality that their choices had consequences, and one of those consequences might just be losing you. Trust is one of the most valuable currencies in human relationships. It is not something that should be handed out freely, nor is it something that people are entitled to simply because of past connections or shared history. Trust is built brick by brick through consistent actions, honesty, and integrity. And once it is broken, especially when it's shattered intentionally, it cannot and should not be automatically restored just because someone says they're sorry. The problem is society often teaches us to be forgiving at our own expense. We are told that if we are kind, if we are good people, we should extend trust quickly and generously. We're made to feel guilty for questioning someone's motives or withholding a second chance. But let me ask you this: why should trust be given to someone who has already proven they don't value it? Why should they get back what they so carelessly threw away? Trust is not a light switch that can be flipped on and off whenever it's convenient. It's a foundation. And when someone intentionally damages that foundation, it takes real effort, consistent, sustained, and selfless effort to rebuild it. Not just words, not just promises, but real, undeniable proof that they are different than the person who broke you. Too often, people want the benefits of trust without doing the work to earn it back. They want access to your life, your heart, your time, without acknowledging the cost of their actions. But the truth is, trust is not owed simply because someone asks for it. It is earned through repeated demonstrations of reliability, honesty, and care. And if someone truly values your trust, they will not demand it. They will work for it patiently and without expectation. So if someone has intentionally damaged you, if they have broken your trust with full awareness of their actions, do not feel obligated to give them a second chance. Protect your peace, guard your heart, and remember, trust is a privilege, not a right. Self-respect over second chances. When someone intentionally hurts you, the biggest mistake you can make is rushing to give them another opportunity to do it again. Self-respect means knowing when to walk away. It means recognizing that your worth is not tied to how forgiving you are, how many times you allow someone back in, or how much you're willing to endure in the name of love, loyalty, or history. The truth is, not everyone deserves a second chance. Not when they knowingly betrayed you, not when they made a choice fully aware of the consequences to hurt, deceive, or disrespect you. Self-respect means understanding that your well-being is more important than someone else's desire for redemption. But here's where people struggle. They confuse self-respect with selfishness. They believe that keeping toxic people at a distance is cruel, that setting boundaries is holding a grudge, that refusing to give someone a second chance makes them a bad person. Let me make this clear. Choosing yourself is not cruelty. Protecting your peace is not selfish. Walking away from someone who deliberately harmed you is not weakness. It is strength. People who damage you on purpose rarely stop after the first time. They come back, often with apologies and excuses, expecting you to give them another shot. And if you do, what you're really teaching them is that your boundaries are flexible, that your self-worth is negotiable, that they can break you, and as long as they say the right words afterward, they'll get another chance to do it again. Real self-respect is refusing to give them that opportunity. It is recognizing that someone who truly valued you would have never put you in a position to need a second chance in the first place. It is understanding that walking away isn't bitterness, it's self-preservation. So the next time someone who damaged you on purpose comes back asking for another chance, remember this: you are not responsible for their guilt, you are not obligated to soothe their regret, and you are certainly not required to hand them another opportunity to hurt you. Let them learn that losing you is the price they pay for their choices. Because the moment you choose self-respect over second chances, you take back your power. We all make mistakes. We all say things we don't mean, forget important details, or act thoughtlessly at times. That's just being human. But there is a world of difference between a mistake and a choice, between an accident and an intention, between someone who hurts you because they are flawed and someone who hurts you because they simply can. Intent matters. And when someone deliberately chooses to betray, deceive, or harm you, that choice tells you everything you need to know about their character. It's easy to get caught up in apologies, to listen to someone say they didn't mean it that way or that they weren't thinking. But let's be honest, some wounds don't happen by accident. Some words aren't just slip-ups. Some actions require planning, thought, and intent. And when someone consciously makes a choice that causes you pain, it's not just a mistake. It's a statement about who they are and how little they value you. Think about it. When a person lies to you, manipulates you, or betrays your trust, they aren't just acting on impulse. They are making a calculation. They are deciding in that moment that their needs, their desires, or their ego matter more than your well-being. And if someone can make that choice once, what's stopping them from making it again? The reality is people don't accidentally cheat. They don't accidentally deceive. They don't accidentally break your trust in ways that leave you shattered. These are deliberate actions, and they deserve deliberate consequences. But here's where many people struggle. We want to believe that everyone has good intentions. We want to believe that if someone we love hurt us, it must have been a misunderstanding, a lapse in judgment, a moment of weakness. And sometimes that is true. But when the harm is intentional, when someone acts with full knowledge of the damage they are causing, that is not a lapse in judgment. That is a reflection of who they are. And that is exactly why intent matters. We are so quick to excuse bad behavior because of apologies. We are so willing to accept that someone didn't mean to hurt us, as if their lack of care somehow softens the blow. But the question isn't, did they mean to hurt me? It's, did they care enough not to? Because someone who truly values you will do everything in their power to protect you from harm. They will think before they speak. They will be honest even when it's difficult. They will make choices that honor your trust, not destroy it. And if they ever do hurt you unintentionally, they will take full accountability, not just with words, but with actions that prove they are different. So don't fall for empty excuses. Don't minimize the damage someone caused simply because they say they didn't mean to. Instead, look at their intent, their choices, their patterns, because intent isn't just about the past, it's about the future. If they had the capacity to hurt you once with full awareness of their actions, they have the capacity to do it again. And when you recognize that, you give yourself the power to choose who truly deserves a place in your life. We've been taught that forgiveness is a virtue, that it is a sign of strength, of emotional maturity, of personal growth, and in many ways, that is true. Forgiveness is freeing. It allows you to release resentment, to unburden yourself from anger, and to move forward without carrying the weight of someone else's actions. But here's where people get it wrong. Forgiveness does not mean you have to let someone back into your life. Too often we confuse forgiving someone with giving them another chance. We assume that if we've truly moved on, we should welcome them back with open arms. That if we don't, we must still be holding on to bitterness. But let me make this very clear. You can forgive someone and still keep the door closed. Forgiveness is about you, not them. It's about your healing, your peace, your ability to move forward. It is something you do for yourself to free yourself from the emotional prison of anger and betrayal. But just because you have forgiven someone does not mean they are entitled to step back into your life as if nothing happened. Some people think that as soon as they apologize, the relationship should be restored. They assume that saying I'm sorry erases the damage, rebuilds the trust, and gives them a fresh start. But that's not how trust works. Trust is rebuilt through consistent, proven actions over time, not through words alone. And here's the hard truth. Some people don't deserve access to you, even after you forgive them. Because some people only apologize to regain control, to ease their own guilt, to test whether they still have a hold over you. They don't apologize because they truly understand the harm they caused. They apologize because they want to see if they still have a way back in. And that is why boundaries are just as important as forgiveness. Forgiveness means saying, I release the anger I have toward you, I am not going to let what you did define me. I am moving forward. But boundaries say, I will not allow you to hurt me again. I will not give you another opportunity to disrespect me. I have learned from the past and I am protecting my future. Forgiveness and boundaries must go hand in hand. If someone intentionally damaged you, you do not owe them a second chance. You do not owe them space in your life, access to your heart, or an open door to return whenever they feel like it. You can wish them well, you can release the resentment, and you can still say, I am moving on without you. This is not about being bitter, it's about being wise. It's about recognizing that some people, no matter how much they say they've changed, have already shown you who they are, and you are under no obligation to give them another opportunity to prove it again. So forgive them if you must. Do it for yourself. Do it to let go of the pain. Do it so that their actions no longer have power over you, but never confuse forgiveness with access. Because some people deserve your forgiveness, but not your presence. Apologies are easy, words are cheap, anyone can say I'm sorry. But what truly reveals a person's character, what truly tells you whether someone has changed, is not what they say, it's what they do over time. Because the truth is, patterns speak louder than apologies. Too often we fall into the trap of listening to words instead of watching behavior. We hear someone say they regret hurting us, that they will never do it again, that they've learned their lesson, and we want to believe them. We want to believe that they see the damage they caused and that they are genuinely committed to doing better. But here's the thing. Real change doesn't happen in a conversation. It happens in a pattern of choices. If someone has hurt you, betrayed you, lied to you, or broken your trust, the question is not, did they apologize? The real question is, have they changed? And the only way to answer that question is by looking at their actions over time. Think about it this way. If a person sets fire to your house and then with tears in their eyes, apologizes, does that automatically mean you hand them the matches again? No, you watch what they do next. Do they help rebuild what they destroyed? Do they change the way they handle fire? Or do they keep walking into new houses with a lighter in their pocket? Because here's the reality, anyone can apologize for a single moment of bad behavior, but a pattern of bad behavior is a different story. A person who constantly lies and then apologizes is still a liar. A person who repeatedly betrays you and then asks for forgiveness is still a betrayer. A person who continually disrespects you and then swears they didn't mean it is still disrespectful. If someone's actions keep telling you the same story, believe it. Stop rewriting it in your head just because their words sound good. A true apology isn't just spoken, it's lived. And yet, so many people get trapped in cycles of toxic relationships because they mistake words for change. They accept apologies without seeing any proof of new behavior. They allow the same people back into their lives only to be hurt in the same ways over and over again. But listen carefully. If someone truly values you, you won't have to remind them how to treat you. You won't have to beg them to be kind, to be honest, to be loyal. You won't have to keep setting boundaries because they'll respect them without needing to be told. When someone is genuinely sorry, they don't just want you to hear their apology. They want you to feel it in the way they show up differently. They won't just tell you they've changed, they will prove it day after day in the way they act, the way they speak, the way they prioritize your trust. But if all they ever give you is words, if the apologies keep coming, but the behavior never changes, it's time to accept the truth. They are not sorry. They are just comfortable repeating the cycle because you allow it. So don't listen to their words, watch their patterns, because in the end, it's not what someone promises that defines them, it's what they consistently do. And when someone shows you who they really are, Believe them the first time. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are gates that protect what is sacred within you. They are a declaration of self-respect, a statement of what you will and will not allow in your life. And the moment you realize that your boundaries are not just preferences, but essential safeguards, you take back your power. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear being perceived as unkind, selfish, or unforgiving. They worry that saying no will make them seem cold, that distancing themselves from harmful people will make them look bitter. But the truth is, setting boundaries is not an act of cruelty, it's an act of self-care. Because here's the reality: the people who benefit the most from your lack of boundaries will be the first to call you difficult when you start enforcing them. Think about it. The people who respected you all along will not be offended when you make it clear what you will and will not tolerate. They will understand, they will respect your limits without question. But the ones who thrived off of your flexibility, the ones who took advantage of your kindness, the ones who manipulated you into putting their needs above your own, those are the ones who will resist your boundaries the hardest. And that is why your boundaries are your power. Boundaries protect your energy. Every time you allow toxic people to cross your boundaries, you give away a piece of your energy. You allow their negativity, their manipulation, their disrespect to take up space in your mind and heart. And over time, it drains you. It makes you question yourself. It leaves you feeling exhausted, resentful, and powerless. But when you enforce your boundaries, you take control of your peace. You decide who gets access to you. You choose who is allowed in your space and who is not. And that choice is the key to maintaining your emotional and mental well-being. A boundary can be as simple as refusing to answer calls from someone who only reaches out when they need something. It can be as firm as walking away from a relationship where respect is not mutual. It can be as powerful as saying, I will not allow you to treat me this way, and standing by it. Boundaries define your worth. One of the biggest misconceptions about boundaries is that they are about controlling other people. But in reality, boundaries are about controlling yourself. They are about defining what you accept, how you allow yourself to be treated, and what you will no longer tolerate. Your boundaries teach others how to treat you. If you constantly allow people to disrespect you and then let them back in without consequences, they will learn that you do not truly value yourself. They will assume that their behavior has no impact, that they can do as they please, and you will always be there, willing to accept it. But when you stand firm in your boundaries, when you make it clear that there are lines that cannot be crossed, you send a powerful message. I respect myself enough to walk away from anything that does not serve me. Boundaries are not up for debate. One of the biggest mistakes people make when setting boundaries is allowing others to negotiate them. They say, I won't tolerate dishonesty, but then forgive repeated lies. They say, I need space from this toxic relationship, but then let the person guilt them into staying. They say, I will not be treated with disrespect, but then excuse the behavior because of history, emotions, or fear of being alone. But the moment you start bending your boundaries to make others comfortable, you weaken their power. A boundary that is constantly adjusted is not a boundary at all. It's just people who truly respect you will not push back when you set a boundary. They will not try to talk you out of it. They will not make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. The only ones who will resist your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you not having any. Your boundaries are yours to enforce. A boundary means nothing if you don't stand by it. You can tell someone what you will and will not accept, but if you continue to allow their bad behavior, they will learn that your words are empty. You must be willing to follow through. If someone crosses a line, there must be a consequence. That consequence might be limiting your time with them, cutting off contact, or simply refusing to engage in their toxic patterns. Whatever it is, it must be firm. It must be clear. And it must come from a place of self-respect, not anger. Because boundaries are not about punishing others. They are about protecting yourself. Boundaries are a form of love. At the end of the day, the people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries without hesitation. They will not make you feel guilty for enforcing them. They will not demand explanations or try to manipulate you into lowering your standards. Instead, they will honor your needs because they value your well-being. And that is why your boundaries are your power. They are the difference between living on your own terms and being controlled by the expectations of others. They are the key to protecting your peace, maintaining your self-respect, and surrounding yourself with people who genuinely care for you. So don't be afraid to set boundaries. Don't feel guilty for enforcing them. And most importantly, never apologize for choosing yourself. Because the moment you recognize that your boundaries are not a burden, but a gift, you reclaim your power, and no one can take that away from you. At the heart of everything we've discussed, there is one undeniable truth. You are not obligated to grant second chances to those who intentionally hurt you. You are not required to keep the door open for people who have shown you through their patterns, their choices, and their intent that they do not value you. Trust is earned, not owed. A person who truly cares about you will show up with consistency, not just apologies. They will not just ask for forgiveness. They will prove they deserve it through changed behavior. But if someone has repeatedly broken your trust, they have already answered the question of whether they belong in your life. Self-respect must always come before second chances. Choosing yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. The people who truly respect you will never demand that you sacrifice your own well-being for their comfort. If someone asks for forgiveness, remember, forgiveness does not mean access. You can let go of resentment without allowing that person back into your life, because in the end, patterns speak louder than apologies. Someone who values you won't just promise to do better, they will show you time and time again through their actions. And if their pattern is one of harm, disrespect, or betrayal, your decision should be clear. Believe what they have shown you, not what they tell you. Your boundaries are your power. They are your shield, your guide, your way of declaring, I am worthy of respect and I will not tolerate anything less. The people who respect you will honor those boundaries. The ones who push against them, they were never meant to stay. So today, I challenge you to stand firm in your worth, to recognize that walking away from someone who damaged you intentionally is not weakness, it is wisdom. You are not bitter, you are not unforgiving. You are simply protecting the most important person in your life. Never forget, you are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to choose peace over chaos, respect over history, and self-love over guilt. Because the right people will never make you feel like you have to sacrifice yourself to keep them. And when you truly embrace that truth, that is when you step fully into your power.